Has very little to do with age. Kiruv has very little to do with age. What can be said to the two individuals who are being honored tonight that has not been said? Very little. You know, the Lomdei Daf Yomi here are aware that Daf Yomi is on Daf Lamed Tes in Ksubas. In my shul, I happen to give a shir in Daf Yomi, so I try to stay above the water and stay a blood ahead. On the plane in today, on Daf Mem, you'll get to it tomorrow, there's an interesting Gemara. The Gemara says, after a short discussion, the Gemara concludes the discussion, says we paskin lahalacha, we conclude this halachic discussion in favor of the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. And then the Gemara concludes with a very strange comment. The Gemara says, Rav Kori alei de Rab Elazar, Tovina de Chakime. Rav called Rabbi Elazar Tovina de Chakime. And Rashi says, what's Tovina de Chakime? Tovina mitargaminan, says Rashi. Tovina mitargaminan ashrei. Rebbe Elazar was the happiest, was ashrei of the Chachamim. I don't mean to be cute. The name of this region is Ashrei region. And if there is a descriptive that defines the personality, the being, the exuberance of Itchy and Miriam, it's happiness. It's Ashrei. Mishenichnas adar marbim besimcha. Mishenichnas av memaitin besimcha. We increase simcha when Adar comes, when the month of Purim and Pesach comes. We diminish simcha when Tisha B'Av comes, when the 3 weeks come. We don't eliminate it. We don't do away with it. There has to be an existence, an ongoing existence of simcha through the best of times, through the worst of times. This is Itchy, and this is Mimi. Ashrei. Tovina de Chakime. I think the two people to my left would feel a lot better if I spent a moment addressing the issue that we as anti-assimilationists are here for, because after all, what more do Rabbi and Mrs. Lowenbraun want from all of us and from all of the youngsters in NCSY, if not to instill in them a love for the learning and the living of Torah, which renders protracted detachment from it painful. There's a lot in the news these days about a psychological phenomenon known as the Stockholm Syndrome. The Stockholm Syndrome simply says that the victim sympathizes, Loshen Nakiya, with the victor. We're living in today. The approach to disciples and Talmidim and students. One good thing attained from this melodrama. The product of assimilated America knew one thing. The center of Jewish survival was not some obscure organization. It was the American synagogue, and that's where he came. And that's where the great merger took place. The student of the yeshiva, the disciple of the Rebbe, and the searching, assimilated student of the street came together in the American synagogue. They were ready for confrontation, without compromise, without accommodation. And the rest is history. History in which each and every one of you in this room, we are chapters in this history. And Rabbi and Mrs. Lowenbraun are in large measure editors. Striking phenomenon that we experience in our time. Ever since the Torah was given on Har Sinai, the pendulum moved in a direction away from the mountain of Sinai. We are witnessing today a reversal of the pendulum which is returning to Maimed Har Sinai. The merger is taking force. The Baal Tshuva with the Ben Torah. The Talmud of the yeshiva with the searching student of the street. The disciple of the Rebbe with the mystic from the university. The girl searching, groping with the Bas Torah. Hundreds upon hundreds of children and their parents with Rabbi and Mrs. Yitzchak Lowenbraun. It is the fondest wish, I'm sure, of all of us in this room, and I take the liberty of speaking on behalf of those of us here. When I offer the Tfilloh, that you should continue in your Avodas HaKodesh with the same hischadshus and sweetness and, yes, regularity to which you have applied yourselves to the task heretofore. And may we, Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, merit through your giving, totally dedicated selves, the words of the Navi, Uvohu ha'ovdim me'eretz Ashur, v'hanidachim be'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hishtachavu l'Hashem, Bahar HaKodesh, Yerushalayim, Bimheira v'yameinu. Amen.
I'd like to call out Dr. Noah Lightman and Ellen Lightman, the National Vice President-elect Seaboard Region UOJCA, to make a presentation to Itchy and Miriam. Thank you, Danny. Before I make this presentation, I'd like to quickly thank three tremendous people, three beautiful people, who put this beautiful affair together. They are Frankie and Meryl Storch and Ellie Ashman. They deserve a round of applause. I have a speech prepared, but I decided not to give it. I'd like to present to Miriam Lowenbraun
have the box top.
1,000 beautiful roses to symbolize the beautiful person that she is and the high esteem in which we hold her. And to Itchy, please stand up, Rabbi Lowenbraun, as we call him, Itchy. This plaque, which I will read to you. No fingers, please. V'chol mi she'ozkin b'tzarchei tzibor be'emunah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishalem scharo. Tribute to Rabbi and Mrs. Yitzchak Lowenbraun for their 13 years of dedicated service to the Atlantic Seaboard region of NCSY. Yishkoach. Thank you. But also, Dan reminds me there's a check in my pocket for them. I was hoping he wouldn't remember. This is a trip presented to Itchy and Miriam to go to Israel, to enjoy themselves, and to remember us while they're there.
I want to tell you that Danny also promised that along with this I get a free lunch at Officials.
Okay.
But you need another speech, and out of respect for my wife, it will be ladies first.
I figured we had a whole evening of men, the women had a little say here. I have really just a few acknowledgments that I would like very much to make. You know, as a wife, I guess being a wife is that special privileged position that gives one the true insight or firsthand knowledge of what the true struggles really are. And they're too lengthy to be depicted actually right now. I just want to say that I always figured we were doing the right thing because I saw that we had a very special siyata d'shmaya in terms of the people who came to be our support. I'm not going to go through the list, but we have been very privileged, I think, in those people who have, in a sense, rallied around us and have been close to us, many who are sitting over here. And that, to me, has been a sign that we must be doing something right. I also want to take a few minutes to thank my family, for they have been, to me and to Itchy, a tremendous support of strength and courage and encouragement. To my uncles and aunts, and my sisters and brothers-in-laws, and my brother, I cannot tell you how much they have meant to us in all the years that we have done this work, and they have been there to help us. And to my mother, of course, and to Itchy's mother, they have always stood beside us. I can't let the evening pass, and Rabbi Tao really did this for me, without mentioning my father. Because he was our spiritual father in this region. Whenever we had a hard, difficult problem, when we were down, when we didn't know how we would continue or what we should do, he was there to help us. He came to every Shabbaton that he was ever called to. And he remains, I think, the spiritual father for us in giving us direction and guidance in whatever it is that we do. And I would like to take just a minute to address our NCSY kids. Rarely do we have an opportunity to tell them how proud we are of them. It's not that only that they are beautiful people in the slangy sense of the word, but they are people who I know that as they grow up, and for many of them who are already grown up, will be those people who will turn around the source of destruction of the temple, which was sinas chinam. I figured if sinas chinam was that which destroyed the temple, then Ahavas Yisrael is that can be that which is going to bring it about. And these are what the NCSYers do. They reach out to other people unconditionally. It doesn't make a difference who they are and what they are. There never is that judgmental sense about them. As they grow up and as they grow older and as they establish their own homes and the source of the kind of work that they choose to do, generally speaking, it has in it something to do with extending a hand to another Jew. And for us, and for me in particular, this is a tremendous source of nachas and of satisfaction and of feeling that that which we have put in is surely growing and blossoming. And then, of course, I would like to thank God for giving us the opportunity to do this kind of work. Because there are many people, I think, very often who would like to do, and yet for some reason or other they have difficulty. And God has been good to us in that he has put us in the position that we have been able to be of some assistance to some people. And I feel that that is truly a blessing.
I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, oh God, another speech. You don't have to worry about telling it to me because everybody at this dais has already told me. We've had enough speeches. We don't want you to speak long. So I've heard it 1,000 times. And I tell you, I will be very brief. And but I do think it's appropriate today to say a few words at this moment. Firstly, it was a very great struggle for me to agree to to have a dinner in mine and my wife's honor. For me, it's much easier to be on the giving end than on the receiving end. I would like to say that I run Shabbatonim here with 300 screaming kids, and Dr. Lowen and Dr. and Mrs. Lowen and Howard and Lowenbraun, who helped me serve all these kids, know that we have to chase all the kids who are at a very large complex, and I find it a lot easier than sitting through all these speeches. But I did agree to it for several reasons. Firstly, because of the people who have worked on this dinner. Frankie and Meryl and Danny, who I truly feel were very sincere in their desire to make this the great and beautiful success it has been, and certainly it's greater than my wildest expectations as far as the beauty and the presentation of every single aspect of this evening. So I truly thank all of you, Frankie, Meryl, and Danny. I didn't forget anything. I would also like to thank Mrs. Ellie Ashman, who has worked a long time on this dinner, and it was very difficult being in the same office and trying to keep me away from everything that was going on, but she succeeded, and I appreciate everything that you have done. The second reason I did accept it is because I was hoping that through this evening there would be some Rebbe Kvod Shemayim, that we would be able to sanctify God's name and encourage people to continue in this kind of work. And thirdly, the personal aspect of it was the ability to bring together people I haven't seen for many years and to celebrate with them. For me, that was, I don't need notes. I didn't even get started. I'll be very quick. I would also like to thank, and I'm going to speak in sentences, you know I speak very quickly, words, so I'll say the words very fast. Mrs. Hannah Storch has been a true friend, and I think that throughout this past year especially, I don't think that me and my wife would have been able to continue without her. She has really been very, very special. Danny and Leah Carrigan for the past 3 years, and they have continued the work of many in the youth commissioners, and each one has been better than the last. And they have shouldered the burden of this region and seen it grow even further than the successes of the past. I'd also like to thank those who were mentioned before, Noah and Ellen Lightman and Dr. Nat Futerall, my associates, Bonnie and Joey Pollack. I have more words to say about everyone, but the hour is late. My office staff, who work very hard and very tirelessly, all the regional advisors and chapter advisors, and of course all of you, family and friends who've come in this evening. I thank you so much, especially those who've traveled from a great distance to be here. And if you need a place for Shabbos, you're all welcome for Shabbos. There are, in my life, the most significant people who have formed my outlook as well as abilities. Of these three most important people, two of them are here tonight. Firstly, it was in the home of my present uncle and aunt, Rabbi Muttel and Sudi Tversky, that I first learned the concept of opening up a home for Shabbos. From when I was a little boy on, and I would come to their house every Friday night, and I would see the way they would accept every Jew, no matter what background they were, and hearing words of Torah and singing and hearing the many Hasidic stories. It was that point that opened my life to a new way of looking at the world and at the Jewish people, and to aspire to great things. And they've also shown me that you're able to remain securely anchored in the Torah world while reaching out to your fellow Jews. And I thank you so much for coming, Rabbi and Mrs. Tversky. My father-in-law, of blessed memory, was my spiritual guide from when I graduated from Empire Boulevard and met my wife, in their home, and when the Baba Rabbi asked me where I met my wife, I was because it does this in Hasidic places. You don't just meet somebody, but it was in their home that I met my wife. It also brought me very close to my father-in-law, who was set a very high standard of excellence that would take me several lifetimes to reach, and he was certainly a very great influence on my life. And the person who really deserves more credit than I is my own wife, because even though they put my name first, if it was not for my wife's encouragement, faith in me, and persevering and putting up with basically a big child. When you graduate yeshiva, you still have you really need a lot of growing up to do, and she put up with me and set an example for me, and in a way she is also not only my life partner but my teacher. I thank my wife Miriam. One of the questions that I was asked was, what did I learn in 13 years of NCSY? So I'll tell you 7 things as sentences. Okay, Ellie, you got that? 7 sentences. All right. With a little explanation. Firstly, nothing changes, because it didn't make a difference. You could have a whole dinner here and they still telling you to speak only for 10 minutes. Nothing ever changes. Second thing is what Rabbi Hutner once said. It says, Ruba to Ruba mal fear to Eibush to develop. That means 9 out of 10 times God is still running the world. And by being involved in Jewish work, you see how true that how very true that is. That you feel in everything that you do that you're working very closely with God, and that no matter how difficult, or just when you're ready to give up, that you find that the right answer comes from the right place, from the most unexpected sources. So in a way, I have experienced a special sense of siyata d'shmaya, which is certainly, I feel, a great schus. The second thing is that what I learned is the definition of arichas yomim. When I think the Sfas Emes, who was one of the second rabbi in Ger, was walking away from his father's funeral, they said he died very young. They said, "Isn't that terrible? He died young." So the Sfas Emes said, "No, he didn't really die young. He had arichas yomim. He had long days. Arichas yomim, which normally means long years. He said he had long days." I feel that every day in XSY has been new, has been different, presenting new challenges that I've never seen before, and that I feel that we have together, me and my wife, experienced life to the fullest every single day. The third thing that I feel that I've learned is that there's no more noble cause than serving the Jewish people. What began as a profession of something of love has really grown into a life work and into an entire philosophy. I know that if I would do other things, I would make perhaps a lot more money and perhaps I'll live a lot more comfortably, but I cannot wrestle after being exposed to the needs of the Jewish people, I cannot see how I could ever neglect that. So I think that's one of the other things that I've learned during these past 13 years. The fourth thing that I've learned is the beauty of the Jewish people. That we see in this week's parasha that even when they hired a prophet from the people, for like Bilam, and he was paid to curse the Jewish people, he could only bless them. And in each one of the 3 blessings, he said something of great significance. He said, Heinam levadad yishkon, a nation that rests alone, of Agayim la yizchashav, and not counted into the nations. That just like we see today, these words have come true, that even in the League of Nations, in the United Nations every day, 90% of everything that takes place is anti-Semitism. That we do not count in the world of nations as much as we may fool ourselves. That we rest alone and that we really need ourselves more than anyone else. The second thing he said, La'iro'a amal b'Yisrael, that even in the smallest of people you can always find something of beauty. Finally, he said, "Ma tovu alecha Yaakov," how beautiful are the tents of Israel, that I have found so many beautiful things that in each child, that when people give up on them, and people in schools, they say that these kids, nothing could be done for them, we have always been able to find something of beauty in every single Jew. And that is something that I was able to learn in my years in NCSY. Another thing is, by being in NCSY, I feel that I've had the panorama of the Jewish people. I feel that I've had a chance to have my ear to the ground to what's going on communally and nationally and internationally with the Jewish people. I feel that I feel a sense of flow with what's going on in the Jewish community. It's opened up the entire world for me. And I very much like to be in the center of what is going on and trying to be where the action is. And then, most of all, what I have learned is to love Jews. And I think that that is the greatest lesson we could ever learn. I'd also like to thank my oldest brother, my S, Kabed S, that S is the Rabbi Sachicha HaGadol. I'd like to thank my brother very much for coming here, even though it was a difficult time for him. I would like to close with paraphrasing the prayer that is said at the end of a siyum. After we finish a tractate, we say the following. You say, Hiratzon l'fanecha Hashem alekeinu v'alekei Eloheinu. May it be your will, God's will, that Shetei Torascha Umnaseinu Ba'olam Hazeh, that our work on this world should be Torah. V'sei Imanu Li'olam Haba, and it should be with us in the world to come. Hayabno Hashem Alekeinu as Divrei Sorascha, that you should sweeten the words of Torah Befinu in our mouths, V'fiyos Amcha Beis Yisrael, and in the mouths of the entire nation of Israel. V'niyah kulanu anachnu, that we should all be v'tzitzoenu, our children, v'tzitzoyam, all the children of the nation of Beis Yisrael. Kulanu yodei shemecha, that we should all know God's name, v'lomdei soresecha, and learners of Torah. Modem anachnu lefanecha Hashem Elokeinu v'alekei Eloheinu. We recognize, we acknowledge, we thank you, God, the God of our fathers, Shesamta Chalkenu B'oskei B'tzorchi Tzibur, that you have placed our lot with those who work with the Jewish community. V'lo Samta Chalkenu Miyoshvei Kronos, and you did not put our lot with those who sit on corners aimlessly without purpose. Sh'anu mashkimim v'hei mashkimim, that we rise up early in the morning and they rise up early in the morning. Anu mashkimim l'divrei Torah, we wake up early to learn Torah. V'hei mashkimim l'dvarim b'teilim, and they wake up for wasteful things. Anu amelim v'hei amelim, we work hard and they work hard. Anu amelim l'kablam schar, we work hard and accept payment, spiritual payment, v'heim amelim v'einam l'kablam schar, and they work hard, but it is aimless. It was wandering. It is going no place quick. Anu ratzin v'heim ratzin, we run and they run. Anu ratzin v'chayim haba, we are running to a world of good, a world to come. V'heim ratzin l'ber shachas, and they are running to an empty pit. Yi ratzon l'fanecha Hashem alekai, that may it be your wishes, may it be your ratzon, your desire, kishem sharzatanu, lilmod or lalamed, lishma v'laska v'kainas, as divrei Torah, that you have helped us to learn and to teach Torah, that we should be able to continue to teach and to learn Torah. Uzchus kol hatanoim v'hamaroyim talmidei chachamim, and the merit and the good stead of all the great rabbis and teachers of the previous generations and those scholars of Torah. Yamor li, should stand by me, ulazari, and my children, shleitomosh haTorah mipi vizari vizari ad olam, and that the words of Torah should never cease from my mouth and the mouths of all our children forever. Thank you.
Great.
Danny, desserts now being served. Everyone said, do it again. So a lot of people need it.
Because they don't want to wait around for dessert. Dessert will now be served, and that will be followed shortly after by benches.
That's my speech.
I heard your speech.
Okay. Here, Chuck Berger, say hi to him. How are you? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. My wife Miriam is Chuck Berger. He's publisher of
Chuck, I want to be the executive vice president.
Pleasure. Nice meeting you.
I will, definitely. She's in Israel now. You know,
I thought they're going to Europe first.
Yeah, well, yes, Europe. They're in Amsterdam.
They were? Oh, yes, they were. There were several.
I think I blended in.
No, you're right.
For the theater, that's why.
No, I'll tell you. There was, remember the picture at Regional with me and Ellie Robusky?
Yeah.
You were behind them.
Yeah.
On the right. I could show it to you.
I know. We want to buy the pictures, though.
Nobody would know. Nobody would recognize you. I knew you were the
Jacket. Good picture.
That's one of the pictures, right? He has real sex appeal. He's cute.
I don't hate Rabbi. You told me everything I know, right?
Oh boy.
Good job.
We're supposed to look
perfectly good. Good job, Rabbi. Very good speech. Nice dinner.
Thank you.
It was marvelous.
On behalf of the National Conference of Synagogue Youth, I would like to thank you all for coming this evening. It was a wonderful... Meryl, come on, your feet aren't that pretty feet. We're on live air right now. I just want to say, oh my God, this is really... Meryl's really the one, thank you. Meryl's really the one that deserves all the credit tonight. She did a fabulous job. She's been working the last few months and really putting in with Ellie Ashman. She did fabulous.
Okay,
Don't touch,
it's been a
please.
pleasure.
It's on the air.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Can I say something? Yes, say something here.
I just want to say that this has been an absolute pleasure, that I wish Itchy and Miriam the best of everything, and may they only continue and have the strength to continue to help bring all of these kids back unto their Torah true Judaism. And yes, I'm smiling Mr. Tarragon, who has turned out to be one of the best friends he and Leah, a person could possibly have. And do send checks. We need all the money we can get. Thank you very much. Next.
Itchy and Miriam, we want you to know that we were very happy to have worked hard for you. You're truly deserving, and we consider it as a chus to have been part of this dinner. 13 years is an unbelievable amount of time and an unbelievable amount of kids, and all the kids you've helped make from, just remember, they're on yours a chus. Best wishes for many, many more years of continued success.
So get somebody to bench. My father bench. Get somebody to bench.
Itchy and Miriam, I really don't know any Gemara to start quoting like all these other great Rabbeim, because I myself am an NCSY girl, and we don't know Gemara, you know that. But I just want to wish you lots of continued success. Miriam, I loved your talk. It was absolutely beautiful. And we wives who cook the food and drive the carpools and go to the orthodontist, et cetera, know about all the hard work that you do. So I know everything was Itchy and Miriam, but I would like to stress the Miriam element, that it's a lot of hard work, and keep up the good work.
Okay, the 15-minute speech which I had prepared to say, which they didn't give me, I'll start off with it right now. I understand that you have just about 15 minutes left. Actually, the truth of the matter is that all the words that should have been said were said, and all I can say is I wish the Lowenbrauns many, many more years of productive work in their line. Thank you.
Less said the better.
I would just like to say this was an exceptional exceptionally lovely evening. It was my pleasure to be here. Mimi and Itchy, let's have lots of nachas.
Lowenbraun. This is the greatest man that ever was, Rabbi Lowenbraun. I can't say he's the Messiah, and I won't say he's the donkey he's coming on, but this is a great man. Rabbi Lowenbraun, can you say a word to the crowd? Thank you, Rabbi Lowenbraun. What a great man. The best regional director in NCS what? So long, you're taking it.
So, thanks for coming.
Sure, congratulations.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
I'm coming for a weekend.
Yeah, I'll give you a day. I'll call you tomorrow. We're going to be tomorrow. Thank you. I'll do it same time. Hi, how are you?
Keep up with you.
Why not?
I just kissed your wife goodbye again for the third time.
Okay, say something
Thank
to
you
the
for
camera.
sharing. I'm speechless.
So, thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Did you get that on film?
Thanks for coming.
Many more years of this thing.
Thank you. What do you do now? You look like you're sleeping on your feet already.
We're going to stop in Havre de Grace.
You are?
Yeah.
You are? Have a grace. What, Kim Bristol?
Somewhere on the way.
I'll tell you, the best place is, I hope they have another one next year. So, thank you for coming. You tell Randy, I expect to see me.
Everyone is invited onto the dance floor immediately.
I'd like to say goodnight to my close and dear friends, Rabbi and Mrs. Isaac Lowenbraun.
I'd like to echo the same sentiments. They're true inspiration to all of us involved in this whole
No,
event.
seriously, I'm very glad that I came here from St. Louis.
Came from
and
Australia.
I'll be here for the 26th and the 39th and et cetera, et cetera. And they really give us a lot of chizuk. And Mazel Tov.
Rabbi and Mrs., thank you very much. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Bye-bye. Can you shut it?
This is on tape. This is Karen Blank. K-R-Y-N. Spell it right.
Yeah, that's my name. She's running for Congress in the 3rd District. Karen Blank, 3rd District. Vote from Kite.
See more you behave yourselves. Thanks for coming. Have my speech with Melody.
I gave it to your wife. That way it's not going to dance.
Running away with the whole dinner. Check that thing. She has some desserts in there.
No, they would be
I would say that. No, but it's not nice.
Did you smoke one of those cigars? Not yet.
Enjoy.
Okay,
my pleasure.
Really?
Thanks for coming.
Oh, really?
I laugh. Say, gee, I look so young. I don't think I look fast.
You know, it's the most hysterical videotape I have ever seen. A friend of mine did it.
You know, you ought to catch my husband.
Happens to be
He'll do
hysterical.
great to
You ready? Roll. Who's that famous person that's used the expression "never again"? I think that's very appropriate for this occasion.
Don't say that.
No. We'll try it again, Mitzvah Shem.
Excuse me.
As long as you're helping us with their help.
Yes.
And not with his help.
Without his help.
And I'll bathe the kids. I'll bathe the kids.
Wait a minute.
This is my #1 babysitter right here for this evening.
And he does windows.
So why aren't you home babysitting? I found the substitute for tonight.
Anyway.
Glad to be here.
Itchy and Miriam, Mazel Tov,
Mazel tov.
and many more.
Mazel Tov. Mitzvah Shem, we'll see you in 12 years. Miro and I are interested in
Furthering Yiddishkeit.
That's right. What that year be?
He's talking off the top of his head.
1997 Mitzvah Shem will be in the same place.
No.
And doing it on the 25th. Same caterer. They did a
Good night,
beautiful
Itchy.
job.
Good night, Miriam.
Thank you for everything.
Good night.
It was really nice.
Have a good trip to Israel.
That's right. Enjoy your trip to Israel.
Go
And what else? else can I say? Well, just to the master of ceremonies, she's saying goodbye.
Send checks. We need money. We love you dearly. We'd like to thank the great photographers who took the videos tonight. They did a superb job. We're very proud of you, and we hope to see you again very soon in the near future. Thank you for your help.
What is this?